Hey, welcome back on today's podcast, Time Unveiled, Mastering Time Management for Peak Productivity. So, this is something that I obviously have a lot of work to do, a lot of work to improve on, but I'm delving in on the topic that's I think is essential for achieving not just my goal, but all of our goals to maximize potential, time management. This might seem very elementary to some people, but it's actually very crucial for any individual of any age. So it doesn't discriminate on anybody. So secrets to boosting your productivity and mastering the art of managing time effectively and how it's affected me in the sense of being more productive. And I'm not trying to act spiritual here, but just in the sense of what I have implemented in my schedule, in my daily life, and how it's boosted my productivity to increase output, if that makes sense. So, time being the most valuable resource we have, it often feels like there is never enough of it. But fear not, I'm going to equip you with the practical strategies to take control of your time and to supercharge your productivity to make every moment count. So, in the beginning, time management, I just want to say right off the bat, it's not about scheduling tasks, it's about understanding your goals, priorities, and values. We'll explore how setting clear objectives is the cornerstone of efficient time management. So, first and foremost, prioritization is a secret sauce to my productivity. Personally, I like to divide what I need to do every single day with certain techniques to identify what truly matters and how I can distinguish between urgent and important tasks, and simply why the 80-20 rule can be a game changer. If you don't know what the 80-20 rule is, simply it's 80% of the rule is completed by 20% of the people, and 20% of the people complete 80% of the work. And it's honestly something that I've really seen myself do a lot lately, whether it's at work. I'm not saying I do 80% of the work, but I do contribute a lot. And first and foremost, when you look at these certain techniques, I feel like the only way you could really do this is by implementing an actual strategy. Which I hate that word, the S word, because I feel like it's a buzzword that people overuse nowadays. But most importantly, I think it's part of the secret sauce for productivity. So the distractions that sneak and they steal our time. First one, right off the bat, for me, it's got to be social media and emails. So we discuss how to identify and how we, decrease, these distractions. We mitigate these time-wasting culprits to regain precious hours in our day. It's fairly simple. You spend less time on social media, and you figure out better filters for your emails so you don't get hit with all those spam emails or people trying to sell you stuff or people just sending you coupons and whatnot. Another method that I've used is what we call the art of time blocking. Time blocking is basically like sculpting your day for maximum efficiency. So walking through the process of breaking your day into focused chunks and dedicating those specific blocks to task while at the same time maintaining a balanced rhythm. So I know a lot of people who they simply wake up in the morning, they go to work, they don't even brush their teeth. They go to work, don't even brush their teeth. They put maybe 40% in at work, and then they come home and then they just eat and they go to sleep. They simply don't know time blocking. It's not in their schedule, it's not in their dictionary whatsoever. To me, time blocking is very essential. I look at certain blocks of time and how I can implement what I need to do throughout the day in those blocks of time. If you don't complete what you need to do in those blocks of time, then you clearly, or I personally, need to rethink how I'm going to be able to conquer that block of time for the following day. And it's all a work in progress. You can't expect to get it all done the first time, the right time. It's a work in progress. It's the same thing when you start a new job. It takes like 3 to 4 months to get trained. In some cases, they train you within a month, but repetition, and doing it every single day, and by actually finding a schedule that works best for you while you're at work and how you can fit in whatever task you're assigned by your supervisors in those blocks of time is important because that's how you're going to sculpt your day for maximum efficiency. So that's what I started doing. To give you a quick little breakdown, I wake up between 4:30 and I'll be honest, sometimes 4:50. I take a quick cold shower. Cold showers are great. It's great for increasing, testosterone, boosting the immune system, blah blah blah. You see that all the time on, YouTube, but it's been proven to, strengthen the body. But I do it because it wakes me up. It helps clear all the inflammation in my body and my face, and I'm talking like cold water. Has to be cold water for me. Then I stretch for about 20 minutes, and then I get dressed and I go to work, and I try to put in, the best effort I can. However, though, given that I start at 7 o'clock in the morning at work, which is to some people fairly early, to me now that seems like elementary. It seems extremely late. Considering I used to start work at 8, so now starting at 7 is like, psh. So I get to work at 6 o'clock because I feel like it, and I create this time block of from basically 6 to 7. I read my book, and I'm trying to just take in new knowledge. But at the same time, what I have as the benefit on my side, the pro here, is that I get to freshen up my mind and I get to wake up my body for about an hour before I actually start work. So by the time I clock into work, I am ready to go. My mind is already woken up. I've already stretched. My blood flow is strong. I'm hydrated. I'm already, drinking coffee. So it's already like I've already been at work since 6 o'clock, but I really haven't because I haven't clocked in. I've just been doing my own thing. Now, obviously, I wouldn't just watch like YouTube videos for an hour because your brain's not working. You're just watching. You're letting your brain just melt. So, anyways, I do that from 6 to 7, and then when I take lunch, half an hour lunch, I basically read on my lunch or I eat like a quick bite, and then I get back to work. Get off at 4. I get home. And this is where things can be a little bit tough. When you get back home, if you don't have other responsibilities, you would think, oh, I could just sit down in my chair and watch YouTube, which is very easy to do. Easiest thing that I found is simply not going inside your room when you get basically back to home base, as I call it. Because the moment you sit down, you're going to get lazy. You're going to feel like a vegetable. You're going to start to watch one YouTube video or one YouTube reel or a show on Netflix and Amazon, and then all of a sudden it's going to multiply, and then before you know it, it's like 8 p.m. So the moment you get home, I think it's important you go for like a little walk outside. You keep moving because you've been inside all day, right? So you have to get outside, get some vitamin D, maybe say hi to some dog walkers. I don't know. It's all up to you. And if it's too hot outside, maybe just walk in the backyard if you have one. So that's kind of like the balanced rhythm of, sculpting your day for maximum efficiency. Because after you do that, go to the gym. Come back from the gym, make dinner, eat something healthy, vegetables, a little bit of fruit, not too much because it's high in sugar and it'll dehydrate you, and you don't need that before you go to sleep. It'll make you sleep terrible. Eat something like, complex carbs, protein, this and that. You got to repair the body. And then if you don't have any other responsibilities, I would recommend after you do all that, read a book, freshen up your mind, I don't know, maybe other than reading a book, learn a new skill, or reach out to a friend, have a nice little talk, maybe network a little bit, see what's, up to date. But limit how much time you talk on the phone, because it's very easy to get on the phone with somebody and then boom, 2 hours later, that's 2 hours easily on a phone call. And that just happened to me many times. So I actually set a timer whenever I call certain people, and I'll keep it within 5 and 10 minutes. And you'd be surprised how fast that time, diminishes. And by the time the alarm clock goes off, you're thinking, wow, this is it. Like, wow, that was extremely fast. So take that into account because, you don't want to get off the phone at 11 p.m. You're like, I have to be in bed. So that's very important. Another method I'm interested in talking about, which I think you might find value in, it's a productivity gem, the Pomodoro technique. Simple yet highly effective method to boost concentration and productivity. But, explain how that works and share tips for, implementing it into your routine. So the Pomodoro technique, it's actually fairly simple. Step 1, you identify a task or task multiple that you need to complete. You set a timer for 25 minutes. Third, you work on a task that has no distractions. You have a phone, put it in airplane mode, put it in a box. I don't care. When that alarm clock sounds, you take a 5-minute break. After that 5-minute break ends, strictly, you go to that process and you repeat it 3 more times. But take a longer 30-minute break and then start it again after you do it 3 more times. So essentially speaking, every time you do this within an hour, 25, 50, 70, actually, yeah. So just think of it as a matter of every time you do 25 minutes of just solid work and you take that 5 minute break, it's a reset. Because after about half an hour, your brain is pretty much starting to become a little disoriented, a little tired and confused and distracted. So at that point, it's not really worth it. To some people, they can literally focus for 6, 7 hours at a time. That's just how they're wired. But for most people, they don't know how to. So this Pomodoro technique is something that I've implemented to where I'll work hard for about 25 minutes. And then once that 25 minutes is up, which doesn't feel like a whole lot of time, I take that 5 minute break. Maybe I go walk around, grab a quick bite to eat. I drink some water, anything. Come back, 25 minutes again. And you can really surprise yourself with how much you can actually accomplish in a 50-minute period, if you have 25-minute blocks of concentration. So that's really important because that tip that I have, is implementing what I call as very seamless solution to your routine. Of course, though, I don't think anyone can really do it alone, which is part of my next point, delegation and outsourcing. So delegation and outsourcing, which can free up a lot of your time for what we call high impact task. The psychology of, letting go, identifying tasks to delegate, and finding the right resources is very important because at, certain points in your life, you can't do everything by yourself and you're going to have to actually, what I like to call at work, handoff. So you basically just give it to somebody else, but you're not just throwing that material at them. You're basically saying, oh, I'm just delegating it, simply outsourcing it, and you're streamlining that process hopefully by giving it to somebody else, which can help free up your time for those high impact tasks. So that's in general, but since we're in the digital age, we have just a wide disposal of tools that we can use. From task management apps, we have calendar tools, which you can highlight for some of the best resources to aid in your time management journey. Google Calendar is a big one too. There's a lot of different extensions that you could use to streamline those processes to make things more efficient. So you're not just writing it all down in the journal like I do most times. Some people are more old school. It makes it just a lot easier to focus, in the time blocks and task by task, whereas a lot of people like looking at their phones because they're always on their phone and they would rather just not write anything down. I don't blame them. It's all preference at that point. But contrary to what you might think about, time management, I used to think it's about doing as much as you can within a certain block of time or that day, but it's actually not. It's not about squeezing more into your day. It's about, the productivity. If you're trying to do 5 things in a span of one day and you're not really doing the best at it, you're half-assing it, maybe you should start rethinking it, and by doing maybe 2 or 3 things, but putting in maximum effort in those 2 or 3 things, it could be extremely productive, So basically, how to incorporate intentional downtime in your schedule is important. Aside from squeezing all those tasks into your day, because rest and breaks are very vital for productivity if you think about it. And these are things that I had a hard time learning because when you can keep your foot down on the throttle full speed constantly, at a certain point in time that car needs an oil change. It needs to fill up with gas again. You need to look at the the radiator, all those things. So you can't just put it in full throttle all the time. You have to stop and let it cool down. That's why sleep and relaxation is important. But that's for downtime. I'm not talking about straight up rest. Like you just stop and give yourself a reward. So to provide a well-rounded perspective, I think it's just extremely important that when you look at a schedule of how people should be relaxing and how they should be spending their time, sometimes you could look at even parents or even managers. You look at managers, and a lot of times managers can either be very good or very bad in what they do. But if you happen to know a good manager who knows how to utilize time, ask them. Just inquire, like, hey, how do you break up your day? Like, what do you do in the morning? Like, I know obviously wake up, take care of the family, blah, blah, take your kids to work. But for the most part, how do you break up your day? How do you rest and relax? R&R, rest and relaxation. Some managers might say, oh, you know what, I go to the driving range after work and I hit golf balls for like maybe half an hour, and then I go home to my family, and that's a way of relaxing to their family because they don't have to think about work. They're taking out maybe stress on the golf ball, which has no emotion. It's a non-living organism, so you're not going to hurt the golf ball, and you're actually practicing your swings, so that's beneficial. The only cost is your time, the gas you spent to drive to that driving range, and maybe $10 to hit balls. So basically, all in all, emphasizing the significance of what we call, reflection, iteration. I would say that regularly assessing your time management strategies and making adjustments is absolutely important for continuous improvement. Now, what I'm not trying to say is that every day when you do something, if it doesn't work, just cancel it out and start something new. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is try something new for like maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And if you start to see some form of improvement or you start to get used to it, I recommend keep doing it. But maybe after a month, if you're not really feeling up to it anymore, maybe it's just not for you. Not forcing you to do this to yourself, and you shouldn't force yourself to do something to yourself. And let's just say you're learning a new language, right? After maybe a week, if you're irritated with yourself, maybe it's just because of the fact that you've never practiced this dialect before. So, of course, you're going to be terrible at it. And if you just don't know what you're looking at, you're going to be very, confused, and you'll be irritated because you want to understand it right away. But the fact that you're irritated and that you're confused shows that it's a good thing because it shows that you're actually trying to understand it. If you weren't mad at all and you had that I don't care, idea mentality, that would be even worse because it shows that you're giving up before you really so much even started. So, like whether you're trying to learn Italian or whatnot. So, these are key adjustments that should be made for continuous improvement. So, other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Productivity Powerhouse. And remember that time is a very limited resource. You can make all the money in the world, but money cannot buy time. Of course, though, with the right strategies, you can make the most of every moment. And it might sound corny, but applying these techniques, staying committed, and watching your productivity soar is probably one of the highest paying dividends in life that you can see. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed. I will talk to you guys next time. As always, take care.